Hey guys, welcome back to the WODdoc Project365, episode 63. Today what we're talking about is demands on the hip during the overhead squat, or any squat in that matter. I've been getting a bunch of athletes sending me some videos, and they all seem to have the common trend, the common fault that looks very similar to this. What it is, it's when the athlete descends down in a pretty good squat, they hit this magical area, this magical level, at which they stop with their hips, and then they continue with the torso. It looks like this. They go ahead, they get down, they get good posterior weight transfer. They continue to come down, their torso angle stays relatively constant, and then they hit this magical spot, and then they just fall over like this, and they can never get fully down into the squat. Same thing happens, it's an overhead squat like such. They start with a relatively good torso angle, they hit that magical level, and then all of a sudden they fall over like this. A lot of those athletes are under the assumption that it's a torso fault, but I'm here to express that it can and most likely is a hip fault. If we do a little definition here and we say that the hip is completely open right here, and then if we were going to say this position means that the hip is completely closed. Closed, open. Now watch, if I go ahead and I descend down in that squat that we just talked about, I have a halfway closed hip. And if I fall forward after that, even if I'm falling from my torso, the flexion is more coming from my torso than it is from my hip. So really what we're doing is we're getting to a semi-closed hip and then faltering at the torso. So it's a combination of the two, but I really think it's stemming from the hip and the mobility of the hip. Watch this. If we have full or complete hip mobility and we allow the torso to stay upright, the knees move out as our hips drop down through, you're going to see complete closure of the hip angle, and the torso is now allowed to stay upright, whether it's in an upright squat or an overhead squat or a front squat or a back squat. It's not really going to matter because the hip mobility is what allows the torso angle to stay constant rather than it just being a torso fault in itself. So here's what our homework is for today. We're going to get over here and we're going to put ourselves against the wall, much like many of you have probably seen in the past. It looks like this. Get our butts close to the wall like such. Back's nice and flat. We're going to try to work our heels down towards the ground, and then we're going to get our elbows to the outside. And we're just going to push our knees out and really work on that groin and adductor region, which is most likely the limiting factor to a bunch of our squatting faults. Here's what it looks like from a side angle. Don't mind my pasty white legs here. Here to here is what we're trying to get to. We want to try to get our feet so that they could be 5 to 10 degrees outwards, but we really want them to stay flat against the wall rather than arching up like I just was right there. So what we're going to do today, guys, is we're going to accumulate 2 to 4 minutes in that wall squat position, and then we're going to retest into our overhead squat. See if we can't keep a better torso angle after where we improve our hip mobility. So guys, today I don't want you to confuse torso faults from a hip mobility fault. Go ahead, try that wall squat out, spend 2 to 4 minutes in there. Until tomorrow, we're optimizing function to optimize performance.